It's a strange paradox of modern work. 51% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year report living paycheck to paycheck. You do everything you're supposed to. You get the good job, you climb the ladder, you secure the six-figure salary. Your life is comfortable, but your net worth is stalled. You feel like you're running on a treadmill, working harder and earning more just to stay in the same financial place. Now you might be thinking, paycheck to paycheck, I have a nice car, I take vacations. And that's the point. The system is designed to give you just enough comfort to make the trade feel worth it. The bars of the cage are padded with lifestyle upgrades that always seem to expand right alongside your raises. If you feel this way, it's not because you're failing. It's because the system is working exactly as designed. The salary you earn is a form of linear income. You trade a unit of your time for a unit of money. It's a brilliant tool for generating cash flow and creating comfort, but it's not a tool for building wealth. Think of it this way. There are only about 2,000 working hours in a year. Your employer has calculated the maximum value they can extract from those hours, and they pay you a fraction of it. To earn more, you have to convince them your hours are worth more. That's a promotion. Or you have to work more hours. Both have a hard physical limit. You can't get promoted infinitely. You can't create more time. Its primary function is to keep you stable enough and comfortable enough to continue trading your time for money tomorrow, next week, and next year. This is the six-figure treadmill. The alternative is nonlinear income, where assets work for you, independent of your time. This raises the critical question: if a high salary isn't the path to wealth, what is? And why do half of all high earners feel financially trapped? The answer isn't a feeling, it's a mathematical reality. And in a moment, I'll show you the exact math to calculate your own personal income ceiling, the maximum amount of money your job will ever generate for you. This feeling of being trapped isn't an emotion, it's a cage. Let's calculate its exact size. We'll use a clear, evidence-based model. Imagine a successful professional. Let's call her Sarah. She's 30 years old, earns $120,000 a year, and gets a consistent 4% raise annually. She has the nice apartment, the respected title, the life that ticks every box. She plans to work until she's 65. On the surface, this is the ideal path. It's stable, it's high earning, it's what we're all told to aim for. So, let's run the numbers. Her first year, she makes $120,000. The next year, that 4% raise bumps her to $124,800. The year after, she's over $129,000. Each step feels like progress. But when you add up all 35 years of those paychecks, compounding one after another, her total gross earnings will be approximately $8.8 million. For a moment, that number feels substantial. It feels like wealth. But this is where the treadmill's illusion is revealed. That $8.8 million is the sticker price, not what you actually take home. We have to account for the two silent forces of wealth friction: taxes and inflation. First, taxes. A high earner like our professional will likely pay a blended federal, state, and local tax rate of around 35% over her career. That removes over $3 million right away, leaving her with about $5.7 million. Still a big number, but significantly smaller. Now for the second, more corrosive force, inflation. Think of your lifetime earnings as a bucket of water you have to carry for 35 years. Inflation is a slow, steady leak in that bucket. The $5.7 million she earns over 35 years won't have the same buying power because that leak is constantly draining its value. A dollar earned in 2050 will buy far less than a dollar does today. It's like pouring water into a bucket that's half the size. A conservative estimate suggests that over 3 decades, this leak will drain the real value of that money by nearly half, so that $5.7 million in take-home pay might only have the purchasing power of about $3 million in today's dollars. Spread over a lifetime, it's enough for a comfortable life, but it's not the foundation of significant generational wealth. This is the income ceiling. It's a fixed, predictable number. Now you might be thinking, but what about a huge promotion or performance bonuses? And yes, those can cause spikes, but they don't change the fundamental architecture of the cage. A promotion might raise your ceiling by 20 or even 50%, but it's still a ceiling. You've just been moved to a slightly larger, nicer cell. Your income potential isn't unlimited. It's a finite resource you're slowly depleting every year you work. This calculation is precisely why half of all high earners feel stuck. They're running toward a finish line that's much closer than they think. And the data on the wealthy confirms this. A 2024 analysis found that for the average millionaire, direct income from a job accounts for only 8.2% of their total wealth. The other 91.8% comes from something else entirely: assets, things they own. To make this real for you, I've created a simple one-page income ceiling calculator worksheet. It walks you through these exact steps so you can find your own number tonight. The link is free in the description. Once you see this number, you can't unsee it. But this isn't a reason for despair. It's the reason for a new strategy. Because the wealthy don't have higher ceilings, they just play a different game. While conventional wisdom tells you to get a better job, a doctor, a lawyer, an executive, the Federal Reserve's data shows the top 1% of households don't get there from income. In the third quarter of 2025, they own 31.7% of all wealth in the US. The assets, not just the salaries. The game isn't about earning more, it's about owning more. This is the first and most powerful lever to break through your income ceiling: ownership. Ownership simply means having equity in an asset that can grow independent of your time. Think of two people. One is a highly skilled surgeon earning $500,000 a year. Her income is linear. It's capped by the number of hours she can stand in an operating room. The other is Sarah Blakely in the late 90s, working a full-time job selling fax machines. She had an idea for a new kind of undergarment, so she took $5,000 of her own savings, not a massive venture capital investment, and created a prototype for an asset she owned completely: Spanx. The surgeon's path is predictable and capped. Blakely's was not. She owned the system, the intellectual property, and the brand. While the surgeon's wealth was limited by her time, Blakely's was uncapped. She built Spanx into a billion-dollar company without any outside investment because she owned the engine of value creation itself. Now, the immediate reaction to this is that starting a business is too risky, and that's a valid concern. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that about half of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years. This is why the strategy is not to quit your stable job tomorrow and take a massive all-or-nothing risk. The strategy is to use the stability and cash flow from your linear income job to fund small, calculated experiments in ownership on the side. Your salary stops being the goal and becomes the tool. Consider Stuart Butterfield. He was running a video game company. While building the game, his team developed an internal communication tool to help them work better. The game company ultimately failed, but Butterfield owned the code for that little side project communication tool. He pivoted, focused on that tool, and it became Slack, a company that would eventually be worth billions. The massive success came from owning a small asset built to solve a problem inside a larger failure. Ownership is the engine that decouples your financial outcome from your time. It can be equity in a business, a piece of software, a brand, or intellectual property. The surgeon trades 1 hour for a fixed amount of money. Sarah Blakely created one design that could be sold millions of times, even while she was sleeping. That's the fundamental difference, and it's the first lever. But if ownership is the engine, it needs a way to scale. This is where two other levers act as turbochargers, addressing the single biggest objection to building wealth outside a job: the belief that it requires all of your time and energy. The first turbocharger is creating scalable systems. A system is simply a process that works without your direct, moment-to-moment involvement. It's the difference between being a freelance graphic designer and building a digital asset store. The freelancer creates one logo for one client. It's a linear trade of time for money. To earn more, they must find another client and design another logo. Their income is directly tied to the hours they work. Now, consider Cassie Johnson. She launched an Etsy shop selling print-on-demand products. Like the designer, she did the creative work upfront, creating a single t-shirt design. But that's where the similarity ends. Her design was uploaded to a system. That one piece of work could then be sold 1 time, 10 times, or 1,000 times, with each order fulfilled automatically. The same initial effort produced a vastly different, non-linear outcome. In her second year, That system generated $90,000. Her total revenue since 2020 is nearly $800,000. The system works while she sleeps. This doesn't require building a massive tech company. Rodney Melton started an Etsy shop in 2021 creating custom headstones for pet memorials. It's a niche, specific solution to a real problem, powered by a system, Etsy's marketplace. That shop has generated as much as $20,000 in a single month. These are not outlier billionaires. They are people who use systems to decouple their income from their time. A 2025 survey from Quicken confirms this isn't an anomaly, revealing that 43% of Americans with side hustles earned more and worked fewer hours than in a traditional job. They broke the time for money trade. The second turbocharger is capital. This is simply money that makes more money through investing. This is where your job becomes a powerful tool. Your salary isn't the engine of wealth, but it's the fuel. It provides the predictable cash flow, the capital, you can use to build or buy these systems and other assets. If you're starting to see how wealth is a design problem, not an income problem, subscribe to the channel. We release a new evidence-based framework like this every week. You now have the complete framework. You understand the ceiling, and you have the 3 levers to break through it: ownership, systems, and capital. Now let's turn this from theory into action. Here is your 3-step plan for this week. First, calculate your personal income ceiling. This is the most important step, and you can do it tonight. Take 15 minutes. Open a calculator and use the exact method we walked through earlier. You'll need your current age, your planned retirement age, your annual gross income, and an honest estimate for your average annual raise. Find that number, the total amount your job will ever generate for you. It's not an exercise in anxiety, it's an exercise in clarity. It transforms a vague feeling of being stuck into a concrete number you can build a real strategy around. Second, identify one small area for ownership. The goal here is not to invent the next Slack. It's to solve a small, niche problem. Think about the friction in your own life or your current job. If you're a graphic designer, could you create and sell a set of custom icons online? If you're a project manager, could you build a simple template that helps teams run better meetings? Brainstorm one idea for a small asset you can create. The initial goal isn't profit, it's the creation of an asset, however small, that you own completely. Third, allocate your first $100 to an asset. The next time you have $100 of discretionary money you might spend on a meal or a subscription, stop. Deliberately redirect it toward ownership. The amount is less important than the action itself. Use it to buy a domain name for your side project idea. Use it to purchase one share of a low-cost index fund. Use it to buy a book on a skill you need to build your system. This act begins to rewire your financial brain, shifting your default behavior from consumption to acquisition. We started with the idea that your salary is a trap, but it's not. It's a tool. It's the fuel you can now use, not to run faster on the treadmill, but to build an engine of ownership that works for you. The goal isn't to hate the job, it's to change the game.